I never thought a single afternoon in a tiny barangay in the Philippines would change my entire life, much less the lives of the people in my quiet Russian neighborhood. But I guess that's how life works. Sometimes the smallest, funniest, silliest things follow you home and explode like fireworks in the middle of winter. My name is Alina. I'm a blonde Russian woman who freezes too easily and laughs too loudly. And this is how I accidentally brought Sabong culture to my country using nothing but toy chickens, too much enthusiasm, and a memory that smelled like warm air and street food. I remember the exact moment it began. I was in Cebu, sitting on a plastic chair in the barangay center while the afternoon sun hung so low and golden, it felt like it was melting into my shoulders. I had wandered there accidentally. Well, sort of accidentally. I heard loud cheering and thought maybe it was a fiesta or some kind of community show, the kind where everyone dances and I pretend I know the steps. But when I walked closer, one of the older men waved me in like I was already part of the family. Come, you wanna watch? Sabong, miss. I didn't know the word, but I liked the sound of it. Sabong. It was sharp, lively, like something that needed to be shouted with a smile. Then I saw the roosters. They were magnificent. Colors like painted fire, feathers glossy, legs strong. The men were holding them with this strange mixture of pride and affection, like they were both pets and athletes. I had never seen anything like it. Crowds gathered around, laughing, cheering, shouting jokes, eating snacks. I didn't fully understand what was happening, but the energy alone was addictive. One Lolo sitting beside me noticed my wide-eyed expression and chuckled. "First time?" he asked. "Yes," I admitted. "In Russia we have cat videos. That's the closest thing." Everyone around me laughed. They explained things in their warm, quick way. Taglish that flew fast but landed gently on my ears. They weren't trying to impress me or confuse me on purpose. They simply spoke with so much life that even when I didn't understand every word, I understood the feeling. At one point, a little boy beside me, maybe 10 years old, whispered like he was giving me top-secret intel. "It's like Filipino-style Olympics," he said proudly. I laughed so hard my stomach hurt. When the event finally started, I wasn't sure where to look. The roosters, the handlers, the bettors shouting numbers with hands dancing in the air like they were casting spells, or the aunties on the side selling skewers and rice and banana leaves. Everything moved fast, loud, funny, chaotic, but in a beautiful way. I felt like I had stumbled into a different world, one that was messy but warm, noisy but joyful, and absolutely unforgettable. I remembered one Filipino man, maybe in his 40s, who stood beside me giving commentary like a sports announcer. "You see that rooster? That one? Very handsome. He's like, Rooster Brad Pitt." And then he nudged me and winked. "But you are more beautiful, miss." I rolled my eyes, but I laughed. Because it was harmless, it was warm. Filipinos have a special way of making compliments sound like sunshine. When it ended, everyone's energy dropped at the same exact second, like a switch had been flipped. People started to relax, drink soda, and one kuya offered me a seat and asked what I thought. "I think," I said dramatically, "this is the greatest sport in the world." Everyone exploded with laughter again. It was the kind of laughter that grabs you and pulls you in until you become part of the group without trying. From that moment, Sabong became one of my favorite memories of the Philippines. Not the roosters themselves, but the energy. This shared excitement, the community, the silliness, the snacks, the cheering, the storytelling afterward. The bond. It felt like the exact opposite of winter back home, where people walk fast, avoid eye contact, and hide beneath layers of scarves like turtles. When I flew home a month later, I didn't expect that memory to follow me. I assumed it would stay warm and glowing inside my head while Russia turned cold and gray again. But life had other ideas. Back in Moscow, winter hit hard. Snow piled high against windows. The sky stayed pale like it was tired, and people moved with the usual rushed, frozen seriousness. I tried to settle back into the rhythm. Wake up, drink tea, work, complain about the cold, sleep. But something felt missing. It was warmth. Not just physical, but emotional. Community warmth. Filipino warmth. One night, wrapped in a blanket like a human burrito, I found myself thinking about that barangay in Cebu, about laughter bouncing off the walls, about kids running around with snacks, about the smell of street food, about the old men teasing each other, about the rooster Brad Pitt joke. I missed the chaos. I missed the joy. I missed Sabong. Not the fight, of course, just the feeling. I whispered the word to myself like a secret spell. Sabong. And then a ridiculous idea hit me. A very stupid, very bright, very warm idea. I ran into my living room, grabbed my laptop, and searched online. Toy chickens. Then I added, plush, funny, cute, makes noise. Soon I had a full shopping cart of ridiculous, fluffy, colorful chickens with big googly eyes and tiny wings that wiggled when you squeezed them. I stared at the items in the cart and thought, this is probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. Then I thought, but also the best. I clicked buy. 3 days later, a giant box arrived. My neighbors watched me drag it inside with confusion on their faces, especially the babushka from the 3rd floor who always thinks I'm smuggling strange boyfriends into my apartment. She narrowed her eyes at the box like it was breathing. Inside my living room, I opened the package and started taking out toy chickens. Yellow, brown, pink, rainbow. Some had long legs that dangled uselessly. Some made bok 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 when squeezed. Some had wings that flapped like broken fans. I lined them all up on my floor and burst out laughing. I realized then, I had enough toy chickens to host a festival. I picked one up and held it like how the Filipino handlers held their roosters under their arm. I tried to imitate the face they made too. Serious, competitive, dramatic. Except I was blonde, ridiculously pale from winter, wearing unicorn socks, and holding a chicken plush that sounded like a rubber duck when squeezed. I looked stupid. I laughed harder, and then I said it out loud. Sabong. The chicken squeaked. Sabong. It squeaked again. That's when I heard knocking at my door. I froze. Slowly, I turned toward the door. The knocking continued. 3 taps, urgent, impatient. Alina? It was my neighbor, Oleg, the guy who lived across the hall. Are you okay? I heard noises. I opened the door only halfway, because behind me were at least a dozen chickens staring with soulless plastic eyes. He blinked at me, then at the mess, then back at me. Why do you have many chickens? He asked slowly, as if afraid they might attack. I tried to explain. This is cultural. He stared. Philippine culture. He stared harder. I panicked. It's sport. Maybe if he were Filipino, this explanation would work, but he was Russian, and Russians don't understand a sport played with plush toys. What sport? He asked suspiciously. Toy chicken. Competition. I instantly regretted saying those words out loud. Oleg leaned forward and peeked past me into the apartment. Is this like a psychological phase? No, I said defensively. This is Sabong. He didn't blink. You mean the rooster fights? No. I waved my arms around. Not real roosters, just toys, fun, friendly, warm, Filipino style. I will show you. Show me what? I grabbed 2 plush chickens from the floor and held them up. A sabong match. He stared. I stared. The chickens stared. This is ridiculous, he muttered. Yes, I agreed. But in a beautiful way. That's when the babushka from the hallway suddenly stepped into view, curious and nosy as always. What is happening here? She demanded. Oleg sighed. She has chickens. The babushka narrowed her eyes at me like I was smuggling livestock. Real chickens? No, I said quickly. Fake chickens. Filipino chickens. This did not clarify anything for her. She stepped into my apartment uninvited, grabbed 1 plush, squeezed it, and the squeaky bok 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 echoed through the room. She nearly dropped it in shock. It speaks, she gasped. No, babushka, I said gently. It squeaks. Then she looked at the entire army of plush roosters. Why? I swallowed. Because we are doing sabong. Oleg face-palmed. The babushka's eyebrows rose slowly. What is Sabong? It is Filipino cultural celebration, I said carefully, knowing it wasn't exactly true but also not exactly false. People gather, they cheer, they laugh, they eat, they watch chicken competition. It's about fun, togetherness. She squinted at me like she could see the exact number of brain cells I had left, but then she surprised me. We need food, she said seriously. If this is event, I blinked. You want to join? I will bring pierogi, she said with authority. People cannot gather without food. Oleg stared at her as if she'd been brainwashed. Are you serious? The babushka glared. You don't like pierogi? No, I like... Then we gather. And just like that, something impossible happened. Within an hour, 3 neighbors entered my apartment carrying snacks, tea, and 1 bottle of vodka, just in case. Which I immediately hid because mixing vodka with toy chickens felt like a bad idea. People sat around my living room, staring at the chicken plushies arranged in a circle like warriors preparing for battle. I realized something crazy. They were waiting for me to start. Suddenly, I felt pressure, like I was the host of the Olympics opening ceremony. Except instead of athletes, I had squeaky, fluffy chickens. I cleared my throat dramatically. Welcome, I said in my best announcer voice, to the first ever Russian Sabong festival. The babushka clapped immediately. Someone whistled. Someone shouted, "Go chicken!" I picked 2 plush roosters, placed them in the center of the carpet, and tapped them together like in the Sabong I saw in Cebu. The crowd cheered as if something exciting had happened, even though nothing had. This made me laugh so hard I couldn't breathe. I tried again. I made the chickens flap their wings. They squeaked. People laughed. Then someone shouted, "My bet is on the yellow one." Then another neighbor shouted, "No, brown chicken will win." And soon everyone was cheering, laughing, and acting like this ridiculous battle was the most important event of their week. And I felt warm. Warmer than my heaters could ever make me. Because for the first time since returning home, I wasn't alone. My apartment felt like that barangay center in Cebu. Crowded, noisy, chaotic, and full of joy. People were talking, joking, teasing each other, eating, laughing so freely it echoed down the hallway. The spirit of the Philippines was here, in my cold Russian apartment, in the middle of winter, with people who rarely smiled now laughing like children. It was insane. It was beautiful. And then it got bigger. Because the babushka, with the confidence of someone who has seen too much in life, suddenly opened my door, shouted down the hallway, "Come join! We have chicken festival!" More neighbors came, then more. At one point, I counted 20 people inside my apartment. 20 Russians cheering for toy chickens. I stood in the middle of the chaos and thought, what have I done? I didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. This tiny Sabong event, this silly, warm, accidental gathering, would grow into something none of us expected. A neighborhood tradition, a winter festival, a symbol of community, a reason for people to come together. I didn't bring back real roosters from the Philippines, but I brought back something more important, the heart of it. The laughter, the togetherness, the spirit. And that spirit was about to take over Russia in ways I never, ever imagined. I should have known things were going to get out of hand when the babushka returned the next morning, knocking on my door at 7 a.m. sharp, holding a tray of freshly baked pierogi like an offering to the gods. She didn't greet me. She didn't even blink. She simply said, "We do chicken festival again today." I was still in my pajamas. My hair looked like a confused squirrel. I smelled like sleep. I stared at her, trying to make my brain function. "Again?" I croaked. She nodded with full confidence. "People need joy." I rubbed my eyes. "People need coffee first." "I brought coffee also," she said, lifting a thermos like she had predicted the future. Behind her, I saw 2 more neighbors peeking around the corner, as if waiting for permission to enter. One of them, a man named Dmitri, who always wears a tracksuit for absolutely no reason, held a small stack of paper and markers. "What is that?" I asked. He held it up proudly. "Scoreboard." "For what?" "For the chickens," he said like it was obvious. "We keep track. Need champion." I blinked. My apartment had turned into Olympics headquarters overnight. I let them in. What choice did I have? They sat down on my living room floor like my home was suddenly a community center. The babushka poured coffee into mugs she brought from her own kitchen. Dmitri taped his handmade scoreboard to my wall. It had categories like winner, most funny chicken, and best squeak. He even drew little crowns above the names of each plush toy I introduced the night before. They took this more seriously than Russians take chess. I stared at the scene, still holding my cup of coffee, still in disbelief. How is this my life? I whispered to myself. But as more neighbors arrived, 8, then 10, then 15, I felt the warm, chaotic joy from the night before come back. People were laughing, sharing pastries, joking loudly. The cold outside didn't stand a chance against the warmth filling my home. Someone shouted, "Round 1!" and everyone prepared like they were watching a boxing match. I placed 2 plush toy chickens in the center of my rug, squeezed them so they made ridiculous squeaky noises, and the crowd cheered as if something heroic was happening. They really committed. Russians are like that. Once we decide to take something seriously, even nonsense becomes sacred. By noon, half my building was in my apartment. By midday, someone had already made a group chat called Russian Sabong Society. By 2 p.m., people were chanting the names of their favorite chickens like loyal fans of celebrity fighters. But the real chaos came when my upstairs neighbor, a teenage girl named Katya, recorded a little clip of the event. 10 adults cheering while 2 plush toy roosters bumped heads like toddlers. The babushka was shouting strategies. Dmitri was writing scores. I was laughing so hard I was nearly crying. Katya uploaded it to the internet with the caption, "When your neighbor goes to the Philippines once and returns with a religion." I didn't know about the video at the time. I didn't know what she had done. I didn't know it had already hit 20,000 views within the first hour. I only realized we had a problem when my phone started vibrating with messages from numbers I didn't recognize. Is this the Chicken Festival apartment? Hello, can I join the Russian Sabong? Do I need to bring my own chicken? My boyfriend and I want to watch. Where is it located? I stared at my phone in horror. Another message popped up, a link to a video. I clicked it. It was Katya's clip. It already had 200,000 views. Within minutes, I received a text from my cousin. "Alina, why are you running chicken battles in your home?" I nearly fainted. Before I could respond to anyone, I heard banging on my door again. I groaned, thinking it was just another neighbor requesting to join. But when I opened it, there were 5 people I had never seen in my life, all bundled in coats, hats, scarves, holding their phones. "Hi," one girl chirped. "We saw the video. Is this the Sabong house?" The babushka appeared behind me, peering over my shoulder like a guard dog. "You are late," she said sternly, and then waved them in. Come, we start next match soon." I wanted to scream into a pillow, but the people looked so excited, so eager, so desperate for something fun during the long Russian winter. And the truth was, I kind of loved watching them laugh, so I let them in. And the crowd grew. Soon there were at least 30 people squeezed inside my living room, some sitting on the floor, some leaning against the wall, some standing in the hallway because they couldn't fit. The air warmed quickly from all the bodies. Someone had brought a speaker and played festive music. One guy even brought sunflower seeds and handed them out like snacks in a stadium. My apartment felt like the barangay center in Cebu had been teleported into Russia. I lifted the fluffy brown rooster, the current champion, and everyone applauded like it was royalty. Then I squeezed it. It squeaked. People screamed with joy. I squeezed the yellow chicken. It squeaked too. Pandemonium. Someone shouted, "Go brown chicken!" Another yelled, "No, yellow is destiny!" Dmitri updated his scoreboard so fast I thought his marker might catch fire. Even children were cheering, and the babushka clapped with the serious rhythm of someone who had been waiting her whole life for this moment. I was dizzy from laughter, but the real turning point came when a journalist arrived. Yes, a journalist. He stood at my door with a press badge, confused and amused. "Hi, I'm here for the chicken competition." I think my soul left my body for a moment. Before I could respond, the babushka grabbed him by the arm and dragged him inside. You sit there, she ordered, pointing to a chair. Eat pierogi. We show you culture. Culture? I choked. The journalist was completely overwhelmed. I saw the viral video and… Wait, why are the chickens plush? It is tradition, the babushka answered confidently. No, it isn't, I whispered under my breath. But no one heard me. They were too busy setting up the next match. The journalist took notes like he was documenting a sacred ritual. He asked me questions between rounds. Where did this originate? In the Philippines, I explained. But this version is safer. Why toy chickens? Because airport security would arrest me if I tried to bring the real ones, I said honestly. Is this a frequent gathering? It was supposed to be once, I admitted. But now my neighbors think it's a weekly event. Yes, the babushka said loudly behind me. Weekly, maybe daily. Daily? I yelped. She ignored me. The journalist left after recording several rounds and interviewing 3 neighbors, including Dimitri, who dramatically declared, "This is not just chicken game, this is life." I wanted to sink into the floor. Later, when things finally calmed down and people began leaving my apartment, I collapsed on my couch, exhausted. My hair was messy, my voice hoarse, my cheeks hurting from laughing too much. The last group left around midnight, some of them already planning another gathering. I thought the chaos was over. But the next morning, the journalist's video went up. It had 1 million views in an hour. Then 2. Then 5. People all over Russia were commenting things like, "I want to attend." Where is this magical chicken house? My country is cold. I need this warmth. Russia needs more sabong. Filipino culture is amazing. How do I join? Someone even created fan art of my plush chickens wearing crowns. That's when my landlord called. I froze when I saw his name on my phone screen. I was sure this was the end. Eviction, lawsuits, maybe being sent to a mental hospital for running underground poultry plush combat tournaments. But when I answered, he didn't sound angry. He sounded excited. "Alina," he said breathlessly, "I saw the video. Incredible. Amazing. Beautiful. We should host official event in building courtyard." My brain did a full reboot. "In the courtyard?" I repeated. "Yes," he said. "Bigger space, more people, maybe hot chocolate stand. We bring life to community." I put my hand over my eyes. "Sir, this is just toy chickens." "Yes," he said proudly. "That is why no one gets hurt. Genius." I didn't know whether to laugh or to move to another country. Then he added, "Also, media wants interview with you." "What?" "National TV," he said casually, as if telling me the weather. I stood in my kitchen for at least a full minute, staring at nothing, holding my phone like it was a bomb. I tried to process the idea. Me, a blonde Russian woman, on national TV, talking about Filipino toy chicken sabong. I wasn't ready, but life didn't care what I was ready for. The next weekend, the courtyard was full. People brought chairs. Someone set up a table with pastries. A neighbor even set up a grill. Children wore chicken hats that their parents made. Someone rented speakers and played upbeat music. And the babushka wore an apron and waved a ladle like she was the official queen of the event. My landlord even made a giant wooden sign that said, "Russian Sabong Festival, inspired by the Philippines." I wanted to cry and laugh at the same time. Hundreds of people showed up, some from nearby buildings, some from nearby towns, some even traveled hours to attend the viral event they saw online. When I walked into the courtyard carrying my box of plush toy chickens, the crowd cheered like I was a celebrity. People shouted, "The chicken queen is here! Alina! Alina! Start the sabong!" My face turned red. I wanted to disappear. But when I looked at the crowd, all those smiling faces, those excited eyes, those families bundled in winter jackets holding cups of hot chocolate, I remembered why this madness began. I remembered the Philippines, the warmth, the laughter, the community, the chaos, the joy. So I took a deep breath, lifted the champion brown chicken, squeezed it, and let its loud squeak echo across the courtyard. The crowd exploded with cheers. And that's how the first ever official Russian Sabong festival began. We had judges. We had commentators. We had children waving signs. People danced between rounds. A man even tried to auction off a golden chicken plush he brought from home. Someone else came dressed in a full rooster costume and scared two toddlers. The courtyard vibrated with laughter, excitement, and the strange, pure happiness only absurdity can create. Even the local news came. They filmed everything, interviewed the babushka, who insisted she invented the entire idea, interviewed Dmitri, who claimed he trained the toy chickens personally, interviewed me too, though I could barely speak from laughing so much. When the festival ended, my face hurt from smiling. My fingers were numb from squeezing squeaky chickens. My voice was nearly gone from shouting. But my heart felt warm in a way Russian winters rarely allow. As people left, they thanked me, over and over. Thank you for bringing this to us. Thank you for the joy. Thank you for the community. Thank you for sharing Filipino culture. I went home with frozen hands, sore muscles, messy hair, and a heart full of warmth. I never expected any of this. Not the viral video. Not the neighborhood festival. Not the crowds. Not the media. Not the laughter echoing through my cold city. All I wanted was to recreate that feeling I experienced in Cebu, where strangers became friends, where laughter came easily, where community felt alive. And somehow, it worked. Russian Sabong had officially begun. I thought it couldn't possibly grow any further. But I was wrong. What happened next? Let's just say the entire country wasn't ready, and neither was I.